It is Victory Monday, and for Patrick Mahomes, it's the gift that keeps on giving as he just signed a record deal and restructured his contract. We'll get a little bit into that, and of course, we had a crazy game yesterday, so I'm going to give you my full initial thoughts on all of that. And with that, let's cut the chit chat and let's have some fun. Now, before we do dive into this video, first and foremost, I want to thank everybody who joined my live stream as I covered the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars in that crazy game. I swear, as weeks and weeks go by, I get a little more comfortable doing the live streams, and it's always fun chit-chatting and watching the game play by play with everyone who joins it. You guys do make it a great experience. So we will do it again this weekend as the Chicago Bears come into Kansas City at 4 p.m. Eastern. I will have it on my page in the next couple days, so please be sure to keep up to date with that. Please be sure to keep notified, subscribed, so you don't miss out on any of that. Now, let's get to the news. Let's get to the topic of conversation, and we had a bit of a surprising one today involving QB number one himself as he restructured his deal, making him, rightfully so, the highest paid player in the league, which is what he deserves. Now, I don't have all the contract details. I don't think any of us do at this point. But what we do know is from this year all the way to 2026, he will make a guaranteed of $210 million. That is a whopping number. And if you do your rough math, that is $50 million a year. But we know when you go more deeper into the contracts, there's language, there's things that move around that makes it much more deeper. And once we get that, I will present that on this channel because a lot of people think, oh, how can the Kansas City Chiefs afford that? They're already cap strapped as it is. Trust me, as Patrick Mahomes is getting paid, it will also help benefit the team, I truly believe too. And also there was reports coming out that said after 2026, he is up to renegotiate and have a new deal again. That is true and false at the same time. They will continue to do that throughout the life of this 10-year contract. But there is still a 10-year contract in place. That is rightfully so. A lot of people are saying there is not a 10-year contract in place. That is not the case. He is still under the same deal. It was just reworked. All I can say is I'm happy that he is our QB1, and I'm happy he's getting paid rightfully so. And I really believe once these numbers come out, the Kansas City Chiefs will get more cap room, and it will help them retain players like Travis Kelce, like Chris Jones, maybe even bring in players in the future. That is what QB1 is about. He deserves to be paid his worth, but most importantly, he wants the ring. So he's going to put the Kansas City Chiefs in a good position to always contend. But now, focusing on those Kansas City Chiefs, we had a crazy game yesterday. A lot of us don't know what to make of it because even though they won, there was continued struggles. But my first initial thoughts on it is, yes, there was struggles. The offense still didn't look like themselves. Receivers could still tend to struggle. Offensive line struggled. Mahomes didn't seem like Mahomes, and penalties, they racked up. On a positive note, with all of that, with basically the refs eyeing Jawan Taylor the whole game, with Kansas City Chiefs having over 100 yards in penalties, with not being able to move the ball, they still went into a playoff contender's home and won by 8 points. If this was the Kansas City Chiefs that normally click, this would not have even been a game. And that's why today, the reason so, we're going to highlight the defense because they are the ones that won this game, as Patrick Mahomes stated. So I got 5 categories I want to discuss, and majority of it is going to be defense. And we're going to kick it off with that Defensive Player of the Year candidate, our player that has missed the whole training camp and it didn't affect him one bit, and it is Stone Cold Chris Jones. And man, he looks better than ever, and that is crazy to say, and I never thought I would say it, definitely this early on. I thought missing training camp, his holdout, was going to impact his play. It didn't. He looked magnificent. He didn't play majority of the game, but the snaps he did play, he made each and every one count. He had 1.5 sacks. He had a deflection. He was in the backfield constantly. And he really, really meant it when he says he's going to be Defensive Player of the Year. And I said, hey, you missed one game, so you got a lot of ground to catch up on. I don't know now. If he keeps continuing to do that, he may have a solid case. And the Kansas City Chiefs next week play the Chicago Bears, who don't have a great line. So Chris Jones, his snap count's going to go up, and his production may even go up too. And he's just making a case. You extended Patrick Mahomes. Maybe Patrick Mahomes took the extension, restructure, whatever you want to call it, to free up room to be like, stop playing around. Sign this man. He deserves to be extended for the long haul and be a Kansas City Chiefs. Chris Jones, he's making a solid case. But another guy on that defensive line, that Chiefs Kingdom, we need to start looking at and respecting heavily is the Greek freak, Furious George himself, George Karlaftis. Now in 2 games this year, he has 2.5 sacks. I think documented. It may even be 3. But he has come out strong out the gates, and he is looking like a guy that has elevated his game to the next level. And throughout this whole offseason, Chiefs Kingdom has been clamoring, we need pass rushers. The guys we have just won't cut it. They shutting y'all up. They really are. Starting with George Karlaftis, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, Mike Dana. Them 3 have started the year off on a mission. And when you focus on guys like Felix Anudike-Uzomah, his snap count is going to continue to go up. He had half a sack in this game. Mike Dana had half a sack in this game. And then you're going to welcome Charles Omenihu off a suspension after week 6. If you think this line looks good, it's going to continue to look better. And a key factor to that is George Karlaftis. He may be the guy that Chiefs Kingdom anticipates to have 10+ sacks every year for the rest of his career. He's one of those high motor guys, and I'm excited to see him develop. People forget, he wasn't a football guy. He was a water polo guy. Football is still new to him. So the fact he looks this good early in his career is so promising, and he could be a top defensive end for years to come. Now this next guy, who I'm going to discuss, may come as a shocker to a lot of Chiefs Kingdom and what I'm going to say right now. And we're going to focus on the linebacking core. And I'm not going to disrespect the linebacking core by any means necessary. But when I highlight this guy, and when I may have the hottest of hot takes saying that Leo Chenal for the first 2 weeks has been the Kansas City Chiefs' best linebacker. He has been all over the field. He has been disruptive. He has been great in coverage. He has been another guy from last year's draft class who has just taken a tremendous leap to start this season. I mentioned, it looked like to me coming in when you brought in Drew Tranquill, I didn't know if Leo Chenal was going to get that playing time. But the Kansas City Chiefs are utilizing all 4 linebackers. And we saw Drew Tranquill get more play time as well, and I hope he continues to get a higher snap count. But when you have Willie Gay, Drew Tranquill, Nick Bolton, and Leo Chenal, I think Leo Chenal is highlighting that class. He was good getting in the backfield. He had that magnificent play where the Jacksonville Jaguars tried a trick play but did not fool Leo Chenal by any means necessary. And I'm excited to see what Mr. Death Row himself can continue doing throughout the years. In college in Wisconsin, the thing that you focused on was he's a thumper. He loves to get in the backfield after running backs, after quarterbacks. But if he develops some coverage skills as well, he may be a difference maker, and I'm excited to see how he develops. I really, really am. Man, it's so exciting when you talk this Kansas City Chiefs defense because we haven't had something like this in a long time. And I really didn't believe to start out the season that it was going to look any means like this. I literally thought we were going to do our struggle, and then once October, November, it was going to be the same routine. We'll see the Kansas City Chiefs defense. But that is not the case. And the fact that I started this video off talking about the defensive line and then the linebackers, and now we're going to move on to the secondary. We're literally discussing positives on all 3 phases of this defense. Who would have thought? I never would have in my wildest dreams that would be the case going into week 3. But I gotta show love for Trent McDuffie and L'Jarius Sneed because they played their ass off, and not against no slouches either. Now, of course, the Jacksonville Jaguars still got their yards, but when it came time to the red zone, they knew what they needed to do, and they didn't allow a touchdown. Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones, they may have had their yards, not Zay Jones, but when it came into the end zone, L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie knew how to use the sideline as a second defender and played so sticky in coverage, not allowing a touchdown. And they are both two different type of cornerbacks, but are crucial to what the Kansas City Chiefs need to do in the secondary to succeed. And I'm excited to see how this keeps continuing to grow. And I'm very surprised with L'Jarius Sneed. Not the fact that I don't think he's talented, because I definitely believe that, but he was another guy who was coming off an injury, missed majority of training camp, and been thrown right in the field, and has been throwing out production as well, and has been playing very good. And Trent McDuffie, man, he looks like a really solid cornerback, and I'm sticking to my guns. By the end of this season, he is a top 10 cornerback. You can hate on it, you may not love it, but Trent McDuffie, he is that dude. And I said I wasn't going to talk about the offense, but you know me. When it comes to this, I have to talk about it. And I really don't want to make it a mantra, but I feel like Coach Reid is going to make me do it. But we know the offense has been struggling. We know the offense struggles in short yardage situation as well. But we saw a glimpse of light. And all I'm going to say, and that's why I say it's going to be my mantra, run the damn ball. The only positive you really saw from this offense was when they gave Isaiah Pacheco the ball. He was a gleam of hope, that sunshine ray that gave this Kansas City Chiefs offense light, and then Mahomes was able to do what he does. Crazy. Who would have thunk it? If you ran the ball, it helps out the passing game? Nuts. At the end of the day, I just wish Coach Reid would, I don't know, adjust, but he's also one of the greatest coaches of all time. But Isaiah Pacheco, when you give him the ball, he is showing he's the guy. He is that grown man. He can be a special player. You just have to give him his touches. And you will continue to see that. And I hope Coach Reid really, really gives him the ball. Not just to display what Isaiah Pacheco is about, but it will display what this offense is about. And it will have the defenses, that opposing defenses, on their toes to where Patrick Mahomes can execute, can find the guys, and then guess what? These wide receivers may not look like quote-unquote scrubs. At the end of the day, this running game can open up this passing game. The Kansas City Chiefs, I don't believe, need a wide receiver number one. I don't believe there's a wide receiver question. These are young guys. It takes time to develop. And you saw promise and adjustments from week 1 to week 2 with Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore. That will continue to happen. There needs to be patience. But what can help in that development is Isaiah Pacheco. Give him his carries. He will make it worth your while. And then also, crazy, who would have thunk this too? Not like I didn't say it or anything, but the Kansas City Chiefs, they were in a situation on 4th and 1. And go figure, they gave it to Isaiah Pacheco, and that grown man got that yard. He literally can solve 99% of your short yardage situations. Just give it to him on 3rd and 1. Give it to him on 4th and 1. Not saying he's going to get it every time, but it sure as hell beats the option of giving it to Blake Bell or doing 3 reverses in the backfield. I guarantee you that. So solve all your issues. That grown man, he will do it. But with that, Chiefs Kingdom, I'm going to close off this video. I know I focused on the defense, but I think it's rightfully so. We get caught up in this offense, whether good or bad. Let's highlight the defense for once because they look tremendous. With that, I'm closing this out. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you did like this video, please leave that big thumbs up. I'm checking out. Y'all take care. Peace.